That's been 5 minutes. It's not.
Yeah, we are.
Good afternoon. I'm going to call the Nashville MTA Board of Directors to order, and the first thing on our agenda is the approval of December 14th, 2017 minutes. If I can have a motion for approval?
Motion.
And is there a second?
Second.
Any discussion? There being no discussion, there being a motion and a second, all in favor say aye. Aye. The minutes are approved. Next on our agenda, we have public comments. And our public comments section, we give each person 3 minutes for comments. And when you get down to one, I will raise my hand, and I'm not taking responsibility if you don't see my one finger up. Then
I'm leaving the line.
I know, I will tell you, because I know that about you. So all others, except for Sheila, I will make certain. Sheila, I'll tell you got a minute left, but you generally don't go 3 minutes.
And you don't
so
have to
you're
be
off.
legally blind for us. If you tell us you're blind, we accept that.
Yes. Well, Sheila, since we're just talking about you now, why don't we just call on you first? How's that sound?
Okay.
And if you get past a minute, I'll tell you.
I'm
Just
Sheila
state your name for the
Hansen.
record, please.
It's Sheila Hansen. Number one, the crosswalk over on Nolensville Road at the Walmart and McDonald's. Hallelujah, thank you. My question is, the other night I was there, and this is not the first time it's happened, there was almost a fight that broke out. Does any MTA have any control over that? Or, the safety issue there? That's just a question you could think about. I will move on to my next thing. I was in the shelter the other day after coming in from Charlotte Avenue. I had about 40 minutes to wait for a bus. There were a bunch of guys in there, MF this, GD that. Nothing was said to them, but I was told, we don't mind you charging your phone, but we don't want you to sit on the floor. My suggestion is then put the chairs next to the phone charger outlets. Just a thought, I'm going to entertain myself on my phone for that half hour. And it needed charging, so, and I was just over there in a corner, minding my own business, and I get told that. I'm thinking, what? I have a question also to think about some of the bus shelters, like out at the West Shopping Center. They've got these nice new BRT shelters, but why no benches? Some of us want to sit down. And another thing is, thank you so much for the New Year's Eve after midnight buses. I would, though, like to know why the number 52AB 130 bus never showed up. I was going to catch that one. I was there at 1:15. I had a supervisor, or a guy who said he was a supervisor, tell me, oh, but the bus came. I'm like, no, it did not. I don't know why he even told me that. Then he tried to say, oh, it's stuck in traffic. So I'm getting told 2 or 3 different things. But I know for a fact that bus never showed up. I ended up catching the 2:30 an hour later. By that time, I was cold, tired, and I wanted to go home. I wanted to be in bed by then. So, for the New Year's Eve thing, that was awesome. But how about all the buses show up? Please and thank you. Have a good day.
Thank you. Thank you for coming. I appreciate it.
Yeah.
Darius Knight. And just FYI, you did not use your 3 minutes.
I had everything written down.
Well, Mr. Knight,
Good afternoon, everybody.
good afternoon.
First off, I want to start by saying there's still an issue with quite a few of the buses don't have a bus number for anybody. The front signs, the display signs, there are quite a few of them out on 60-foot, 40-foot, and 35-foot buses that really need to be looked at because, again, there's generally no way of telling what that bus route is unless you actually stop the driver, and then some of them do not want to stop. So, again, with that issue, y'all need to go get some paper and some tape. And y'all need to put up there what bus route it actually is. And the supervisors need to correlate with these drivers. If the sign just happens to go out while it's in service, they need to come up with something quick, fast, in a hurry, because it really doesn't make sense to send a bus back to the garage just for a sign issue. That's really repetitive. The other things concerning this meeting today, some of the stuff that was presented, I don't know how I feel about this fare box issue, because I can remember back in 2004 when we got the Gillick buses in, and we had already moved to the fare boxes that we have. They're garbage, and I'm just being honest. The drivers are literally having to beat the crap out of them. The last 3 meetings that I've come to, including today, customer service had to swap my pass out because the driver put in the correct pass, but it didn't come out the correct way. So then you have an issue with change cards. Now, the Intuit side, I think that's something that y'all should move forward on because of mobile payments and things of that nature, like smart cards. That's something that MARTA does in Atlanta. The other issue with that fare box is the Gen Fare. I personally don't think you need to spend that much money to buy fare boxes with a company that you already have problems with, and y'all literally tried to actually sue them years ago for the issues that y'all had with the fare boxes. It was quite a long time ago, so you guys may not be aware, may not remember that. But considering with the whole issue, the whole rebranding thing, when you're talking about the advertisements, I think y'all may want to reconsider that, because it's really a nuisance when you're on those buses and that stuff is like on the side. You can barely see out the window. And I think they need to figure out a way that they're scaling it down and not doing the entire bus itself. And then literally using the 60-foot buses, but using smaller advertisements just on the sides of the buses and not overall bus. That's pretty much it for me.
Thank you, Mr. Knight. Mr. Green, Patrick Green. Oh, Mr. Green, how are you today?
I'm doing well. How about you?
Great, thanks.
So today, I'll be fairly brief. We will come back with more extensive information next month. I just wanted to take a moment today to bring to the attention of the board that MTA experienced 3 deaths in the last month. The first being retiree James Eskew, active driver Charles Battle, active driver Louise Kent. Charles Battle was an outstanding employee at this system for just short of 11 years. Very well respected. We love him. He is someone in my time at this system, and not just to single him out, but we had probably well over 100 drivers at this funeral on Saturday. So I would just simply ask that if you would take a moment of silence to remember the operators that we have lost and the retiree that we lost over the last couple of weeks. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Green. And let me just say thank you for bringing these kind of things to our attention. And I will say that Mr. Bland did share that with me. And as we always do, we keep everybody in the MTA family in our hurts and our thoughts on a daily basis. But we will certainly make certain that we uplift all of you as you think about your fellow drivers, your friends, your colleagues, and sometimes even your family members as we go forward. And I just appreciate that you have the thoughtfulness to bring that to us, to allow us to, one, celebrate life and to celebrate the service that these amazing drivers and people have given to not only MTA, DTO, but have given to Nashville and made Nashville a better place by virtue of what they do every day. So I thank you for bringing that to us. Mr. O'Connor.
Well, it's good to see you all once again.
Good to see you. Happy New Year.
Excuse me for saying, I do have a real bone to pick right now. Due to the weather that we had Friday, the January 12th, myself and a friend and several other people either almost were stranded or did get stranded downtown because buses were shut down early. And there's a lot of people, including me, who did not know that. We were downtown for a few hours to have some fun down on Broadway. Last bus out on Friday night, since it's a weeknight, is supposed to be 11:15. I'm out at the bus stop there by Hilton Hotel and Country Music Hall of Fame by about 5:10 after 11, which is supposed to be probably about another 10 more minutes before the bus is due down there. And all these people standing there waiting on the buses, looking up the hill, seeing no buses coming. People were really getting very ticked off because there were no buses coming. I called Access Ride because the customer service is closed, and they hooked me up to the radio room. Radio room says they were shut down at 9:15. Excuse me? I wound up spending $27.49 on Uber to get home because of a friend of mine that called his brother, who sent Uber to pick us up, and I wound up having to pay for it. Now, I don't really have that kind of money to be spending outside of the bus system. So I'm really going to be asking somebody if they could reimburse me for that. Also, to get away from that now, a few of the drivers have shown me maintenance slips to their buses with certain things that were checked off that need repairing that have not gotten done. And also, still some of them drivers still doing their creep stop, making everybody sick. Still, again, we need buses hours extended as well as customer service. And riders that are with me, are showing me, telling me about the escalators continuously being down. Regular riders are getting really tired of that. And also, we can make a policy of the buses to be kneeling automatic. So drivers will automatically kneel the buses. We shouldn't have to ask them to do that. They should automatically kneel the buses. And last, drivers are not saying anything to a lot of those people who are blasting their so-called music on the bus while everybody else suffers with it. Thank you.
Thank you. James Thomas.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
On the 18th and 26th this month, I stand at my bus stop for the 1202 from the jailhouse, which on both those days arrived at 2:20, which means it arrived 8 minutes late on both days. Supposed to arrive at least 2:12. On the 19th, the 52B bus left the MCC at 6:45. There's a man on the bus playing his noise loud, but the driver asked him to turn it down, but he didn't say too loud for them to hear. And it just kept on blasting the rest of the time I had to get off the bus at Walmart, wait for another bus to come by. On the 27th, bus number 841, 52B, there's a lady left her child in the stroller on the bus, and the driver said nothing to the lady about taking her child out of the stroller. To me, it's very safety hazardous to leave your child in the stroller. You should take your child in the stroller and sit in the seat. On the 14th, or the 4th of this month, bus number 872, 26 Gallatin Road. Person had the music blasting loud, and the bus driver didn't say anything to her. On the 12th this month, a 5:11 a.m. bus from the jailhouse was a no-show at my stop. I had waited another 24 minutes for the next bus to show up. On the 13th, the 12:57 p.m. bus from the jailhouse was a no-show. I waited about 1:17 and walked to Walmart at about 1:20, which takes about 20 minutes to walk down to Walmart. And the next bus was like a 30-minute way away. I'm like, I ain't waiting for 30 minutes when I get down to Walmart 20. Some of these bus drivers need to be more courteous to pedestrians at crosswalk lights. This past Sunday, me and 2 other people were standing at this crosswalk at 5th and Charlotte. We had the crosswalk light, but the Charlotte bus driver turned the front before we got out into the crosswalk, which that is in violation of traffic codes where pedestrians have the right of way. And just along the lighter side, if y'all get a chance to go on Facebook, like my homeless Christmas trees page and follow me.
Okay. Thank you very much. Are there any other comments? I have no more notes up here. That closes our public comments portion of our meeting. Next, Operations and Finance Committee. Mr. Paramore, Mr. Cersey, either one of you want to just shout that stuff out?
No, we just had a good report. We have no action items from the fund. We're pleased with the way that the budget's turning out so far this year, although we're a little concerned about it, running over budget. Hopefully we can make that up in the middle of the year, but we have no action items, and I think the report stands as is.
Well done for your first report.
Thank you so
Just want
much.
you to know that the goodness is taking
Took your place.
the room, just,
That's right.
I know y'all don't even want to leave now. You're
I
hoping I'll
know,
do something
I
else.
just want you to do some more
Well,
and
have to.
clap so you can help me with this nice report because.
Hurry on through it.
Okay, I'm gonna hurry on through it. Next, we had the, the New Initiatives and Community Engagement Committee, and it was a robust meeting today. First, in that we talked about the baseline budget discussion where Ed and Steve sort of gave us an idea of the initial budget discussions that are going on and some of the considerations that MTA is giving towards these budget considerations, with a lot of conversation about pension, a lot about healthcare, and sort of thinking about where we're going in terms of both of those line items as well, and how we budget for those other kind of things. And the other thing on the horizon to really talk about is our taxi overflow, and really thinking about how that works, how we do those things, and some of the challenges, of course, we have with the taxi overflow is vehicle maintenance and also the fluctuation of drivers. And so how do we work through that? But with the influx of new vehicles, some of that should be better as we talk forward. Also, the conversation is ongoing about what do we need to ask Metro for in terms of budget dollars, and what does that look like, and what's the philosophy of the board? And I think you heard us talk a little bit about our philosophy is to ask for dollars. As we also think about the budget baseline, I think Ed shared with us that probably is about a 2.9 projected budget that we might need in addition to where we are right now. So it's a good discussion. It's the beginning of a discussion. I think it was a very thoughtful discussion. It's a good way for all of us to start getting on the page about what we need to do, what needs to happen in this budget process, and really support MTA as you think about what your budget considerations should be for Steve and Ed. So I thought it was thoughtful, it was good, and it was thorough, and it was really a good opportunity to begin the conversation. And then when you come back next month, you'll have more considerations for us to consider. So thank you very much for that. Also, we had a really good conversation from Jason, without a tie, about the Nashville MTA, but a Pocket Square Nashville MTA advertising policy and what that might look like going into the future. Our contract will be up in 2018, I think it's spring,
September.
right? September. And there's ways to look at what should our contract look like when we put it out for an RFP, and also revisiting our policy, the policy that we did many, many years ago, and whether or not we're still in compliance and what should that look like. So I think that that was a really good overview. Look forward to hearing more of it, particularly as we continue the conversations about rebranding and branding, particularly as we go through this great process that we're going through right now. And so thank you for that, and look forward to seeing the next steps, and look forward to us giving you more input going forward about things that we think might be helpful as it relates to the marketing. Also, we had good discussions about the next generation fare collection system. And with that, we do have an action item, but I am going to ask my fellow board members if there is any objection to deferring this action item until next month.
No objection.
No objection.
And if there is no objection, that is the report of the New Initiatives and Community Engagement Committee. I don't know if anybody else had anything to add to any of that.
Good stuff.
Good. So the chair's report, really not much to add to the chair from everything. It was a robust meeting today. We learned a lot. We took in a lot of information. And as usual, I just want to commend MTA for all of the work that you all are doing. There's a lot going on. There's a lot of conversation about transit going on in every four corners of every part of the city. And you all are always a part of that conversation, providing expert thought and processes to those communities. Steve, you're everywhere. It's
not what my wife says.
And I see Erin in the back of the room, and you and her are a double team. I even asked you all to double team on something coming up at Vanderbilt, so we can sort of have this conversation about transit all over the community that we need to have. So ahead of that meeting, which is January 30th, I just want to thank both of you all for agreeing to come and present this kind of information to the Vanderbilt community. So all of you, thank you all tremendously for being here. And again, thank you very much for sharing with us about drivers. I think it's really important that we support our families and that we be able to take moments to pause and be able to celebrate the work and the lives of those who are touching the lives of so many people. So I appreciate that information that comes before us, and we're able as a board to do that as well. With that being said, that concludes the chair's report, and I'll take it over to you, Mr. Bland.
Thank you, Madam Chair and members. A few things to report. First of all, with respect to the Let's Move Nashville plan, there has been an extensive amount of outreach activity that a lot of our staff have been involved in. So I want to express my appreciation to the folks. I'm not going to start naming you all because almost everybody has been doing something associated with it. Obviously, most important this week, we had the opportunity to attend Metro Council. Yeah, I'm not worth listening to, Hannah. I'll try not to take it personally.
You made me go really fast.
This past week, Metro Council on second reading voted to move the ordinance forward to put the initiative on the ballot, passed overwhelmingly by a 25-6 vote. And
Without amendment.
Correct.
Well, actually, one minor.
Yeah, one minor and one not major. So that continues to move forward. We also supported a committee of the whole session where a number of us had an opportunity to present on the plan and take questions from council. And also, I think Vice Mayor Briley said the public hearing on this issue broke the record of short-term rentals for the longest, for the most folks testifying. So I think that was a really important measure. Also, it wasn't the only thing going on this month. Had the opportunity to meet, and frankly, I was really pleased. It was at the request of TDOT Commissioner Schroer, with Commissioner Schroer and Mayor Barry to discuss the kickoff of a new transit demand management program that will be housed in Metro Planning, that we will be supporting and obviously be promoting our Easy Ride program as well as other commute options. And then we are also providing local match for the funds that the state is putting into it. So I think it was a really positive meeting to show the commissioner's commitment to try to support personally and on behalf of the department those efforts. So sometimes it's baby steps with the state, and sometimes you're just pleasantly surprised. Relative to the program of projects under Let's Move Nashville, there have been a number of our staff working with a number of Metro staff on the nuts and bolts of how we might administer the free fare program that could result if the initiative is passed. You may recall one of the mayor's proposals is that individuals of low income would be eligible for free bus passes if that occurs. So there was a good exchange of ideas with a number of our social service partners on how such a program might work if we're able to put that into effect. I want to thank, is Miriam in the room? Miriam's in the room. She's becoming a bus expert. She did an outreach activity that several hundred of our customers participated in. Here, it actually picked the next seats for our order of buses. We have 31 buses on order that are scheduled to be delivered. And I thought the work she did was really professional. I think customers appreciated being asked, and I'll be darned, we're actually going to do what they asked us to do. So much the better. So when you see a different seat on the new buses, you can thank Miriam and the customers who participated.
Unless you don't like them.
And if you don't like them, next time come on out to the event and register your opinion. So thank you, Miriam, for that.
Leather, right, with
As far as you know, Walter, yes, they are. Yeah, exactly.
Footrests.
It's been alluded to several times that we are starting up a rebranding effort for Metro Transit Authority. We're working with Bowen, a local firm that's very well respected in that field. And I want to thank all the board members because I know you spent considerable time with Bowen to give them some upfront impressions, and you're going to see more about that in the coming months. Murfreesboro Road project is quietly but actively under construction. We're approaching 20% completion, working through a whole bunch of issues, as is not a surprise, but frankly, nothing unusual. So I want to thank our engineering construction group and great cooperation and engagement with Metro Public Works, Metro IT, TDOT, you name it. So it really is kind of an interdepartmental, interagency project. Wanted to also thank Patrick for acknowledging, I actually had it in my notes to mention our operators who passed, so I really do appreciate your raising that issue. Charles in particular, I rode his bus quite a bit, and he is, again, with acknowledgement to everyone and respect and prayers for the families, Charles probably hit me a little bit harder than some of those words that I get, because a true gentleman and a true professional. But all due respect to our other operators, active and retired as well. Also wanted to thank Patrick. You know from past and future meetings, he's spoken quite a bit on our maintenance training, and we are forming a joint committee with ATU and to really advance that program. I've asked Rita, I'm not sure she knows what she's getting into, to lead the management effort on that. And I also want to publicly thank Walter and Glenn Farner, who, because of their backgrounds in workforce development, have agreed to help support that program in any way that they can as well. I always like to try to update you on some of the RTA activities as a sister agency. Sometimes I say the RTA takes more work than the MTA. This wasn't really one of those months. I did make a presentation on RTA services to the Columbia City Council. Columbia is in the process of joining the authority, which I think is a really big step forward, and Mayor Dickey down there is a big supporter, and they've actually incorporated advancing public transportation into their city's master plan, so we're anxious to work with them. We've been partnering with MDHA on their advancing the first transit-oriented development zone that was enabled in state legislation passed last year surrounding Donaldson Station, and we have finalized a exclusive negotiation period with Penrose Development to look at how we might redevelop that site for joint and transit-oriented development, including a significant affordable housing component. And then finally, we are officially at truce with the city of Mount Juliet. I am told the check was cut today, Shelley, and is in the mail, so to speak. And Julie and Trey and their group will be working with the city to advance improvements and expansion of the park and ride lot over at Mount Juliet. So there's once again peace in the kingdom.
That's great.
So, Madam Chair, unless there are any questions, that concludes my report.
That was a great report. Thank you very much. Chief, you always give such a good comprehensive report, so I appreciate that.
I think that means speed it up.
No, not at all. But I'd feel a little remiss if I did not say hello to an old MTA DTO friend back in the back, Mr. Patton back there. It's good to see you today. It's great to see you. Yes. So come back more often. All right, thank you for being here. With that being said, Mr. Searcy, do you have anything else?
Nada, chica.
Not a cheat. Come on. We're going to talk about that.
Yes,
All's
probably.
good. In light of all of that, this meeting is adjourned. Thank you.